and some interventions and things that can be done, and some of the challenge. Tobacco was introduced from the New World, which was North America, to the Old World, the existingly discovered world, from Christopher Columbus. You'll see there in the 1400s, and he learned it from the Native Americans, and the Native Americans were expert herbalists. They knew a lot about tobacco and other plants, and so they would take this intranasal, intraoral, and it can even be taken intrarectal. And these are three of the very legendary Native American tribes. From that time, we've had it obviously into the modern times. From the late 1800s, it was a gentleman called James Bonsack, and he actually mass-produced tobacco, and he worked out how to automatically roll cigarettes where before they were done by hand. When that happened, that meant that cigarettes became the dominant form of tobacco consumption as opposed to cigars, chewing, pipes, and so forth. You'll see here that there's more modern types, vaping, e-cigarettes, and obviously these are problems with minors and so forth, which can be targeted with public policy. There's different chemicals in vape. We know there's nail polish remover, things in weed killer, insect repellent. This is obviously the anatomy of a vape and an e-cigarette. And you'll see here the different types of e-cigarettes are out now. It looks just like a conventional cigarette, it looks just like a conventional pipe. You'll see in 2016 in New South Wales and Australia that the state government banned e-cigarettes, just like they banned conventional forms of tobacco. This is shisha, hookah agile. You'll see that it puts very large amounts of carbon monoxide into people, and you'll see here that on the New South Wales government fact sheet, 45 minutes of shisha is the equivalent of 100 cigarettes. So 45 minutes of standard session of shisha is the equivalent of about 5 packs of cigarettes. So that's obviously a lot of carbon monoxide. You'll see here that there's more modern day growing methods. It's now can be genetically modified. You'll see these are some of the countries where it's commonly grown, and now it's this is a nicotine farm, and you'll see that it's often flavoured with things like cacao, licorice. Some of the dangers in Australia, you'll see that 2/3 of people that smoke actually end up dying from it, and it will take at least 10 years off the average person's life, and also can create a lot of respiratory disorders, including COPD. This is the main alkaloid or chemical constituent. There's 5 alkaloids. It contains nitrogen, nicotine, and then you'll see here, this is some of the beautiful advertising. Ayrton Senna and Elaine Pross, Rita Hayworth from the 40s, James Bond, tennis players, doctors recommend Camels. And you'll see here that 25% of tobacco in Australia is illicit, and you'll see that very vulnerable groups can be targeted with this. Children, low-income earners, people with mental illness, up to 70% roughly of people with schizophrenia smoke. And then you'll see even the Indigenous population are 3 times more likely to smoke. And there's been some interventions done specifically around that community which are worthwhile modelling. The 3 things that are the best cessation methods, or the most talked about cessation methods, quit lines, the patches to replace the nicotine, and various psychotherapeutic interventions. That's what we're going to discuss a little bit in this presentation, how we can help ourselves and our loved ones, and what sort of marketing strategies could we do as a counterforce against these tobacco consumption and industry. So you'll see here that about 85% of the world have access to a wireless phone. We've put an example there of the Apple, Samsung, Google, and you'll see here that a lot of a significant portion of the world have over 2 phones. So this is one place where you can communicate with people and get their attention. You'll also see there's further marketing techniques which market cigarettes are seemingly less safe, and that's why you'll see there's light cigarettes, low tar cigarettes, menthol cigarettes, clove, and so forth. In terms of counter strategies that can be used, you'll see here the social media from LinkedIn to TikTok, and then you'll see that Google, Facebook, WhatsApp, and you'll see the statistics here, 3 billion, 2 billion, 1 billion for TikTok, and this is where the eyeballs are in order to market. Now, when people quit, they need to be aware of some of the side effects. There's about 14 side effects there. Weight gain, increased appetite, cold and flu type symptoms, cravings, restlessness, being irritable, headaches, difficulty concentrating. So it's important that people are aware of some of these things as they come off the nicotine and the tobacco, that they may go through some of these things. Some of the psychological models that are used to understand where people are at, where they're ready to quit. One's called the trans-theoretical model. So the trans-theoretical model starts from the pre-contemplation, so you're thinking of quitting, so that's no, I'm not ready to quit, to maybe I'll quit. So I'm preparing to, yes, I will quit. I will do it. Once you do it, then we need to maintain it and make sure people don't relapse. So this is called the trans-theoretical model. Trans means across in Latin. So it just means where's an individual at in their life cycle of needing to quit. The fourth step there, you'll see action, maintenance, relapse, which they sometimes call a recycle. And people can relapse at any stage, and we need to get them back to quitting. And there's a little bit of evidence for it. I won't go into it too heavily, but this is 3 studies that essentially validate the data that trans-theoretical model is more effective than just a control group. There's some other models as well. This is called a socio-ecological model. This goes from the individual, understanding that the individual is influenced by their environment. So their families, their friends, their peers, their workplaces, communities where they volunteer, right through to government and national bodies. So these are the 4 places we need to petition for change in public health, not just tobacco, alcohol, obesity, poor diet, and so forth. And you'll see here again just some statistical data that the socio-ecological model works better than a control group. This is a third type of model, which I won't go into too deeply, but this is called the belief system model, or the health belief model. And this is basically encouraging people to assess their triggers of negative and positive behaviour, and looking at benefits and risks of changing or not changing to their behaviour. Now, this is a study that shows that 2 of these 3 models work very well together. The trans-theoretical, so this is the individual model where you work out where is the individual in that stage of needing to quit, and then factoring that in with their environment, their loved ones, who cares about them, who they care about.